Welcome back to another episode of Paul's Pod. Today is a very special day. He is my first Maltese guest, and he is a Maltese pioneer for MMA. It is the one and only Matthew Camilleri. How are you, bro? You good?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good, bro. I think the best place to start this would be to say congratulations on signing for Cage Warriors.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
That's a big move. How did it all come about? Because I know that you were scheduled to fight Callum Mullen at the end of the year for your FCC title, and that fight fell through because I think Callum was injured, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did the emotions go of obviously wanting to close out the year with a title defense and the upset of that probably not happening to then being signed by Europe's biggest MMA promotion?
Wasn't expect. Well, I was expecting it at one point that Cage Warriors is gonna sign me. I thought they were gonna sign me from my last fight with Izzy Thomas. I was expecting them to sign me before. Then I went to AKA to do a training camp for that, and all of a sudden they said, that you have a fight to defend your title again against Callum Mullen. Came down, started training, and obviously the fight fell out. But I didn't know what was going to happen. And then a few weeks later, I received a call and I say, "Listen, you're signed with Cage Warriors. As everybody knows, it's a multiple fight deal." And yeah, honestly, I kind of thought that it was the best move that they could do to sign me right after Isaac Thomas. I mean, I would have still won, defended my belt. Doesn't matter who it was. But usually they, after first title defense, they go to Cage Warriors, or at least, well, for the last from the lightweight champion that he fought on my card on Isaac Thomas. It was in the co-main event. He got signed immediately after he won his lightweight belt and I defended it. So I was like, well, okay, I fought one more. And then in the event I was supposed to be, Mike Steiner, Mike, he won the middleweight belt and he didn't even defend it. Now he's fighting for the Cage Warriors belt. So, I was like, well, I'm
When's
in
my
Cage Warriors
time?
now, it doesn't matter. But I
Yeah.
was like, well, okay, I took the hardest road in my opinion. Plus, who I beat for the belt, Shoaib Youssef, is after I beat him, he went immediately to Cage Warriors. So after I beat him, so that for me was more of a hit. Um, but now I'm there, so it doesn't matter.
Well, you're in there, like you said. That is all that matters. I mean, what was it like to deal with all of those emotions? Seeing, I mean, Shabe Yusuf a win over someone like him because he is no joke. So to get a
Yeah.
win over someone like that is a super impressive victory. And then, like you said, to see him get signed to Cage Warriors, and even though you said that you were expecting it after your Azzy Thomas fight, and then to not get, I mean, were you kind of almost? I know it's hard not to get disheartened, but were you almost kind of like, oh fuck, like, when's it gonna happen?
Yeah, well, not disheartened, but I was more pissed off rather than anything. I knew though if like I keep winning, there's no chance because people started talking about it when it happened, and when I mentioned it to other people, they started talking about it. So I said, the pressure is not going to come from me, but it's going to come from the people because the reality people know who's better. Because I've proven it, not during sparring or not during anything. I've proven it in a fight, so everybody saw that happening. And people were asking why is he signed and why Matt is not. Did Matt refuse? And I said no, I never refused. I actually wanted to fight on Cage Warriors, so and then I saw him win the fight, and I was like, well, okay, you did that against him, but you didn't do anything against that me. Like you tried, but I didn't let you. So um, it kind of worked in my favor to be honest, because it literally everything that is bad motivated me to be even more aggressive and maybe call out. Even after the Ozzy Thomas fight, I said in the after combo when they were asking me questions, I said to people like I will make the best of Cage Warriors be defensive against me, and I intend to keep my promise that nobody will be there to win. In the first few minutes, they'll be there to win. After the first minute, they'll say, you know what, I can't win this fight. I'm just gonna try to defend myself and not get finished. But obviously, I'm going for the finishes again all the time. But it's not my fault that everybody just doesn't want to fight anymore. It's easy to not to fight and just say that's it. I just want to stay there and survive. It's easy. It's not that hard. But if you want to try to fight to win, that's different. You can't get finished. But I will do my best to finish people and um, be number one and quickly get the belt as well.
It's also very easy for a lot of people to sit there and comment, "Oh, why doesn't he get finishes?" Or it's like, mate, you try and do it yourself. It's not easy to go in there and get the finishes. It's the hard, especially at the pro level that you're at. I mean, it's no joke. Like, it's not as simple as just, oh, get a finish. You know, these guys are tough, and especially the way MMA's progressed over the last 10 years, especially like the level of competition is super high, even on the regional shows now. So yeah, it's not easy. I mean, I've just got a question. Do you feel as though you've had a chip on your shoulder for the majority of of your career? You know, people either overlooking you or people maybe not giving you your fair share of dues.
Uh, the first no, and that started happening right when in the fourth fight when I lost. I lost the first fight. The only time I lost was the fourth fight, and I would say I wasn't even my best at that time either. I had some after the weight cut, I had any issues, but after that fight, the from before the fourth fight, people were speaking a lot about me because of my three fight winning streak, and the first two were first round finishes. The third fight was against a high level grappler, and I out grappled him as well, so it makes me better at grappling. But when I lost my fight, after I lost, and nobody was talking about me, and they were saying, "Oh well, he's hype." Um, after Yusuf Shaw, after Yusuf Shaw fight, they started saying, "Well, he won, but he's boring because he's a kind of a I'm a kind of a wrestler that holds people, well, not holds people only, but like if
Controls.
they don't want to do anything, it doesn't make sense." So yeah, after the Shaw Yusuf fight, people were like, don't even want to mention me anymore. They said, "Oh well, he's just there because you know he can win, but he can't fight really." It's kind of weird, but yeah, I think this time, now that I'm fighting on, Cage Warriors UFC Fight Pass, um, I think people will try more harder to kind of beat me. In the beginning, I think people will overlook me and say, "Oh, we don't know who he is. He just fought on the regional scenes. He never fought on the highest. He never fought anybody." Or when he fought Yusuf Shoaib, it wasn't the best performance either. So they'll make a lot of excuses. But I think after this fight, which I want to prove I'm the I'm what I'm saying, which I will be a champion in the 1 year or 2 year time. The Cage Warriors, I will be that. Nobody will ever say mine. Maybe if they won't mention me, there will be a reason because they don't want to fight me anymore. But um, if they mention my name, the first thing they'll say is, "Oh well, yeah, this guy is a high level wrestler, a high level grappler." So uh, and that's it. He can't do anything else. But obviously, I'll say, well, whatever. If you guys think I have only those, you know, I if you think I don't have any striking, you're a little bit wrong. But I won't say you're 100% wrong because I am a grappler, I am a wrestler. But if you think they're not enough to stop you, that's where you're wrong. Against Yusuf Shaw, I only used my wrestling and grappling and I beat him, which he was supposed to be this high level knockout artist and all rounder and everything. And I just beat him by that with a hard weight cut, which the promoter saw, my teammate saw, and I had a knee injury as well, which everybody saw on video, which was all red, and I still beat him. So that wasn't even my 100% in that fight. Imagine what if I would have done if I would have 100%. So but I always had that chip on my shoulder. Maltese guy, never heard about Maltese. We don't know anything about them. He's not that great. There's not much MMA fighters. There's only one. Uh, so yeah, kind of like that, and it will always be that way. I think, even with my style, it makes it even worse.
Well, you know what they say as well. A lot of when people are, or when other fighters, sorry, are very quick to dismiss others or won't even like to mention other guys. It's normally because they know the threat and they know how dangerous the fight is. So they wouldn't want to be bringing it up because they don't want to fight themselves. How's the reception been back home when you got announced that you're Cage Boys? Because like you said, you're. I know you're very early on in your career, but I really truly think that you are a pioneer for Maltese MMA. There's no one else doing what you're doing from Malta, so I'd be interested to know because I remember we were speaking through Instagram when you got announced that you didn't really get the reception that you thought you would.
Yeah, for some, MMA is not the biggest sport in our country, so it's a little bit in the development. It's more like they're more in boxing, or not really. They're more in football, to be honest. So, but the people that are in MMA community, they all congratulated me. The jiu-jitsu community, the wrestling community, the boxing community as well, because I have loads of friends. And them, they all congratulated me, and everybody they mentioned my name. They always say, yeah, he's the number one MMA fighter that we have, and he's the only one that will be eventually in either UFC or the top organizations. So yeah, still it's a little bit like I didn't get the help that I expected. I wish I had a little bit more help from the Maltese like the authorities, if you want to call them that way, because
The sport authority, yeah.
yeah, exactly, yeah, because they said they want sports to go on the higher like I'm not sure if it's last year or the year before. They said that their agenda was to get sports higher up because we're not that good at sports, and they keep investing in football, which is the most. I mean, football is one of the worst sports that we have in our country because it's popular, obviously, but we actually don't do anything about it except lose. So they're investing in the wrong section, in my opinion. And people actually that shared my Cage Warriors debut, the first thing, some of the people that were actually wanted to say something, they said, "Why are we wasting money on?" When I asked for a sponsorship, they asked, "Why are we wasting money on a sport that is losing everything, and we're not even investing in someone that is making success? And this is the only one that made success in his career." So that remains to be seen. I still need to speak with them, uh, obviously face to face, because I don't like speaking with anybody on social media or anything. I always want to, get their answer properly and see if they're right or wrong. But yeah, I was a little bit disappointed from them. But the rest of the country, I always say thank you to everybody because they always support me, and I'll do my best to represent the community that supports me. So yeah, I'm happy with the reception. I'm just not happy with the sports authorities because they just don't know anything about sports. To be honest, they're in the sports authorities, but they have no idea what sport is.
So this is a good conversation that I was looking forward to having with you about sport in Malta because I don't know what you think of, but in my view, from when I grew up in Malta and I grew up playing football, that was what I grew up playing. Obviously, I got into MMA when I was 16 through Mike Zamit, who you might know. I think we
Oh
mentioned
yeah, I
he's
know him. Yeah,
yeah, he trains at Avant. Is it Avant Garde? Avant Garde?
yeah. Avant garde. No, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's called. But yeah, so growing up in football, the view that I saw was that we actually have got a lot of talent in youth in Malta, I feel like in sport.
Yeah.
And it just comes to a point where you get to like 13, 14, where it just starts to slip off for a reason, or like again, I can relate to football more so at that stage of my life, just because I used to see so many of my friends who would get trials at Premier League football clubs or trials at Italian like Serie A teams, and there was just like it just almost wasn't there. And it's amazing to me because okay, I can understand, we're a small country, it's always going to be difficult to find a lot of talent with the population that we have. But with fighting, Maltese people are born fighters.
Yeah.
there's a lot of people in Malta that have a hard life. You know, even if you look at the history of Malta, Malta's fucking full of fighters, man. And as you said, there's a bigger boxing community than there is MMA. Um, and I don't know. I just feel like you said, it's disappointing that the Maltese sport authorities are just so fucking tunnel vision with football, because I honestly think if there was more investment into martial arts in general, not even just MMA, just you know, judo, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, boxing, MMA. I think if there was more money pumped into that section, you'd be surprised how well Malta would do in all these martial arts. What's your opinion on it all?
Yeah, about wrestling, because I obviously when I was in Malta, I used to train with the Olympic team, uh, and I was part of the team as well in the wrestling. They're very great. Their level is good. Gary, Jordan Mina, David, uh, Adam. We have several others. The problem is that wrestling is absolutely not existent in our country. Like there's every time they say wrestling, they always think about WWE. Nobody knows what real wrestling is. MMA is actually becoming more famous than wrestling itself in our country because nobody knows wrestling. When I tell them I do wrestling, for example, or I do MMA, yeah, but my base is wrestling, and they'll say, "Wait a minute, how is that possible? WWE?" I'm like, "No, no, no, real wrestling, like Olympic wrestling." And then they're saying, "Oh well, we've never seen it," so it's a bit weird. I think no, actually, no, it is true. It's not what I think. It is true. Jiu-jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-jitsu, actually became more popular, and they know more about Brazilian Jiu-jitsu more than wrestling, which is okay. Maybe not the weirdest thing because Jiu-jitsu is for everybody. So I believe one thing, and it's not what I believe. I think it's real. Wrestling is not for everybody. Jiu-jitsu is for everybody, though. Everybody that is, if you have some maybe you're not that strong, maybe you're I don't know, like if you're not that strong, you can do jiu-jitsu and can become a kind of a champion. If you're not strong in wrestling and you're not mentally resilient, you will never become anything in wrestling. You won't even last some sessions because they're grueling, and I think that's why wrestling is not popular. But then obviously boxing and even kickboxing as well is obviously, as you know, more popular in our country. Um, and well, I don't know. I mean, the only thing that I know for sure, 100%, my friend, he was with school with me. Obviously, he's the same year because he was with my school, my class. He was with the rugby team, and I remember correctly, he was great, and he went. He was offered, I think, in Australia or something abroad, full paid and everything. He had a problem because he was homesick. And I know loads of footballers and athletes that are homesick, which is obviously so I'm here for since 2020 and I used to go to America for 4 months, 3 months, and I really don't like that coming back to Malta. So I like to be away and did 4 months as well in Thailand. Now I'm here forever since 2020, January 4th. Now I'm not homesick, obviously. And for me, when somebody says I'm homesick, I'll say, you know what, don't bullshit me. You just don't like it, really. Or you found it difficult over there. You found the level is hard, and you say, you know what, I'm not ready for this. That's what I think.
Bro,
Most of the athletes in
I
Malta,
can relate.
they just like staying in Malta, finding it easy, um, training with not the highest level, or they're the best level in there. And they say, you know what, I'm the top dog. When I'm in the other gym, I'm almost nothing. The only guy that I know that made it so far in outside, there's two. Hayton Lamons, Hayton for sure. He did it. He went to Mexico, Australia, and everything, and he became champion boxing. And Christian Chos, he trained outside in the UK. He's back in Malta, obviously, but he does training camps and he doesn't mind that. So for me, and obviously Steve Martin did it too for me, those guys that I look up to and say, you know what, they were before me, and now I'm taking it to another extra level. So, but we did it. Nobody else did.
Steve Martin
So,
was who I went to my first MMA session for.
who did you go with again?
Steve Martin.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure I might be getting the name wrong. Is he the one that lives in Paula? I could be wrong. I went with Mike. Did he have a boxing gym? Was he a boxer but did MMA?
He's a boxer
Or am I
though.
thinking
Yeah,
of the wrong?
he was a kickboxer, but then he became a boxer.
Yeah, and yeah, because I think he had like an old little garage in Paula, and it
Mars.
would be
Oh
like
yeah, I
boxing, but
remember. That's where I started with him, with Marsa.
yeah, like yeah. So I went there with Mike because Mike used to go there. And that's where I first that was like my first taste. But yeah, I can completely agree, mate, because like I was talking about the football and stuff, like it's just a mentality. Like people are just very comfortable. And do you know what I think a lot of it is, in Malta, everyone's very comfortable with their place in society because it's not a big place. Everyone knows everyone.
Yeah,
Mum and dad have their family business. They always like everyone's got their own cliques and they like that status of being someone in Malta. That's a
yeah,
big thing, I think. I feel as though, and it's such a shame because, like I said, I think there's actually so much talent, and as a country, Malta can produce so many better athletes, but they just become slipped into that habit of being very comfortable, like you said. And the homesick thing it honestly baffles my mind because there's so much more to the world than just Malta. Malta's a beautiful country. It's got fucking amazing weather, and but there's also so many other places that are beautiful. There's so many experiences, and Malta's got a lot of problems. Like, it's not the best place to live in. Like, I lived there for 18 years. And that was 18 years too much. I was born and raised there. I mean, I had there's elements that I can appreciate now that I've left. Like, I've lived here. You've lived in England for 2 years now. I've lived here for just over five, and we're very fortunate to have lived in such a beautiful country and have the summers. Like, there's a lot of stuff to be grateful for. Malta's a very safe place.
yeah,
But I feel like, so to grow as a person or to grow in your own field of your career, whether that be sport or anything else, you need to branch out. Malta's
yeah.
always going to be there, but you can't, and it's hard because, like you said, with training, like you're not going to be able to train around the same guys. You're not going to be able to get the mix of competition. So you need to go out and train. When was the first time you realized that you needed to leave to get some better training?
That was in 2017 in March, April, May. So the first time I left was 2017 in June because in April 2017 I went for the European Championships for the second time in the IBGF Rome. So obviously that's the biggest one for us, for the Europeans especially, because every single one saw people from America as well coming in. I mean, I've seen some of the best jiu-jitsu guys in the world, and in the gym where I was practically at one point I was given the hardest time for when I was a blue belt to our brown belts. At one point, I was beating some of them, and it was like, and they would go on me as well. They were bigger than me. I was a small one as well. So, and everybody was expecting me to win. Went there, won the first round. The second round, I got finished, which rarely happens. Like, it was weird. And then I went in the no gi, and for the first time ever in my life, I got absolutely uh, dominated by points, which that never happened. And for me, it was like, so how's that possible that a blue belt is better than one, but then he's not good enough as a like the blue belts are better than him. So then I said, you know what? I want to go and train outside so I can see what they can offer. And I went to AKA, and it was just another level. But I learned so much from them. And when I came back as another different kind of athlete, and I said, and loads of people, loads of my training partners and friends were actually looking at me and saying, "Wow, what is this? What is this position? What are you doing in here? What is this? What are you doing? You just became this almost very same style, wrestling style, but a more way better version and new positions. So I said that was just for 3 weeks that I learned. Imagine what I would do if I would stay there. They're all the same as that, which is weird. They're more better than me in there. So then that's where I realized, like, listen, they're giving me a hard time over there, and here I could see the difference. So I started going back out there for a long time, and every time I come back, I learn new stuff and I help my friends, which whatever I can. So they're profiting me obviously from me because I'm teaching them for free. Well, not teaching them, as in I'm helping them for free. And yeah, so then I realized I said, listen, I have to go somewhere to start training properly. Obviously, I can't go to the US because expensive and I can't work.
Yeah.
So what I did then, I went to Thailand to train and see how life in Thailand is. Was nice, but then I couldn't work either. So then I couldn't fight because nobody wanted to
How
fight
come
me
you couldn't
because I was
fight?
3-0. It was
Oh,
bad. And so then they said, listen, why don't you go to the UK instead? Because you'll fight in Cage Warriors instead. So that's why I decided to find a team in the UK. I said I want to find the best team in the UK. And my third fight was against one of the guys that I'm in the gym that I'm training with. So I contacted him because we were still friends. We are still friends. I contacted him so I can tell him, listen, can I train with you guys instead? When I with you guys for a long time, and the coach and all the training partners accepted me. So I said, yeah, sure. And they said, yeah, sure, come in, and we'll get you started and everything. And I did. And since then, I'm living with them, and I'm living in my place here and training with them, and I'm part of the team.
what's been the biggest takeaway from your years of going to AKA, going to Thailand, and now being in Liverpool for a couple of years? Like, what's the biggest thing that you've taken away from the experience that you've had so far?
As in styles or
Or just like anything really. Like, what's been something that you think has been pivotal in knowing the move that you've made was the right decision?
well, coming obviously here, the the level, the training partners, the even the style. For example, in Thailand, so in America, it was more based on wrestling, and AK was more based on sparring and learning as well, mostly from my training partners as well. Because most of my training partners that I had, they were different. Most of them were all wrestlers, obviously, but as like Sean Bunch, an Olympic alternate, obviously for me, that was one of the best things I've ever had as my training partner. Um, Luis Pena as the UFC as a UFC fighter, Cain Velasquez watching him with DC training us as well. So all wrestlers went to Thailand, still had an American friend in there, but he was Thai, but he's fought MMA and he was a world champion in Thai as well. So what we did in there was very simple. They saw my style and they said, "Okay, you're a good wrestler, but and you have solid hands as well, but you're lacking kicks. So let's get your Muay Thai a little bit better." And what I did was I actually got from in Thailand. Obviously, I said, "You know what? I'm gonna learn some Thai, get my kicks better, and there should be good jiu-jitsu as well in there because in Thailand, this is the thing a little bit weird. There loads of Russians and Dagestanis and Chechens go there, so you'll still have good training partners in grappling. And if you get a wrestler as well in there, a good high level wrestler, that's a great thing. But for me, the main focus was to get the striking better as the kicks, and I did. Then after in the UK, I was very surprised to see what UK fighters are good at, which I didn't know that much. But when I came to the UK to fight over here, and I watched all the Emmys and all the professional fighters what they were doing, I noticed one thing: they're good at kickboxing. Like all of them were good strikers, obviously, but then they had their jiu-jitsu, which was more of a pure jits. So you see
Yeah.
sweeps, leg locks, and I was like, okay, so they're good at submissions. Like they're very good at submissions, but they're not good at controlling people. So it's like the wrestling, obviously, as everybody knows, the UK fighters lack one thing, wrestling. So I said, okay, well, eventually they will develop it, especially I have wrestling, so it's not a big problem, but they'll help me with my jiu-jitsu as well. And when I got to the team, this team, Next Generation, has some of the best jiu-jitsu. I'd say they have the best jiu-jitsu in the country. They,
The gym is full of killers, man.
oh yeah, I mean, and one more thing, the jiu-jitsu team, there's one called Matty Holmes. He's the by far. So I grapple with some of the best grapplers in the world. I grapple with loads of black belts, different black belts. Honestly, I can say he's one of the best grapplers I've ever grappled with. He's he might be the best, or if one of the best, but by a long shot. So for me, and his leg locks are great. Everybody knows what he is. So I said, okay, I have him. But then in MMA, they're all different. For example, there's Liam Malloy, for example. He's a counter striker. Nathan Fletcher, which he's more of a grappler, wrestler ish. So that's where I
Adam
said
Cullen, Shamrock.
Colin. Yeah, Colin. I think Colin is a wrestler with a good hands as well. So me and him, we can go wrestling as well. Shamrock, a good striker with a jiu-jitsu background as well. He joined us now. We have Liam Giddens as well. Uh, Good striker. He got his wrestling better nowadays. Like me and him, we trained a lot together. He's one of my favorite training partners to be with because he helped me with the clinch elbows and everything, and I helped him with his wrestling as well. Like me and him, we always even I think a few minutes ago, he sent me a video of a wrestling move that I like to watch Kerry Cole at. I introduced it to him, and then he kind of watches and sends me back. So we're always exchanging videos, and we're saying, "Oh, can we work with this tomorrow, or can we do this the next day? What do you think about this? What do you think about this?" So yeah, man, there's so many others. Ben Batch Kelly, good striking coach, good striking as well. He does well. We have Adam Venturi as well, one of our coaches. Ellis, he's our striking coach as well. He's a good grappler. And obviously we have Paul Rimmer. He develops game plans and he's our jiu-jitsu coach as well. And I like his details, the way he does them. Matt Bonner. Oh yeah, we have Matt Bonner as well. We're gonna fight on the same card, me and him. Um, I always like him because even when we train, even though he's a middleweight, we can always help each other. I help him with sometimes when I do wrestle with him. I'll tell him what I did, and he has his own things as well. So he'll make get my offense better and defense better, and his striking is very good technically as well. Uh, we have the Scotty as the my boxing coach, and is doing with Matty, Luke Riley. Oh yes, we have Luke Riley. Um, Very great
You're
Muay
in the
Thai
best
skills.
place, man. You're in the
Yeah,
best
and
place.
everybody's
Like,
different as well. This is the thing. We're not all
yeah,
different.
like
We're all the same. Paddy obviously is uh, the main person in my opinion, and
you got Molly and
Molly,
Leia as well.
yeah, Meatball Molly, and oh yeah, Layla, is it?
Leia
That's her name,
McCourt.
right? Yeah, yeah, because I always call her Layla. Yeah, she's good. Jake McHugh, an up and coming
It's just
amateur, and we have
you're in the best
Jane.
position.
Say again?
You're in the best position for where you are. Like MMA in Liverpool is exploding right now. Next Generation is arguably, the best gym to be in at the moment. The talent that you've got, and it's not only just the talent; it's because there are so many guys fighting um, in the big shows now, and that I really do think that it makes a massive difference. And as well, when you've got the people like Paddy and Molly, these guys that are big stars, that rubs off on the rest of the gym because you're around these guys and you want to you see these guys, you're like, oh fuck, I want to be in their position. So it rubs off onto you. You can take stuff from them. It's the experience and it's the bond. And I've been down to Next Gen a few times. I did a sparring session with the amateurs before I got injured as well. I've got to know a few of the guys in there, and everyone's just so nice, willing to help each other, and it is the best spot to be in. I think or one of the best spots at least in Liverpool. There's many good places, but it's one of the best spots. And you sound like you've done the right things, which a lot of people don't do. You've gone and trained outside of Europe. You've gone to America. You've gone to Thailand, and you've just taken bits from everywhere you can. Because at the end of the day, it's MMA. That's what you've got to do. It's not really like boxing where you can kind of stick with one or two gyms or maybe three gyms and you can kind of make it and get somewhere. Whereas with MMA, you need to explore, you need to meet other people, you need to have your different training partners because it's such a wide game. And it's just fascinating to see, bro. I know I keep on saying it, but I really do think what you're doing for Maltese people, for Maltese MMA, is really really good, man. And I know that the best is still yet to come from you. You touched on about how you're going to be on the same card as Matt Bonner. Does this mean you might have some fight news that might not be able to confirm exactly, but have you got an idea of maybe when you're going to be fighting next?
No, I'm gonna be fighting on the 24th of March on the
Oh,
BT.
sick.
Yeah, on the BT studio. Yeah, the opponent is already done. I'm just waiting for them to put the poster on. But yeah,
It's a
the
it's a cool atmosphere. The BT Sport. I was there for I think it was the last one. You know Eric Silva? I'm sure you would have known Eric Silva. He's trained at Next Gen before. Brazilian, Bravo,
might I might have.
Bravo. He's
Yeah,
not what?
his name
Yeah,
is not new though.
he's not been a Next Gen for a while.
Oh,
He's been
Eric.
out of
Oh,
the
I know.
country.
Yeah, Eric. Eric. Yeah, of course I know him. Yeah, Eric. Yeah.
So he was my MMA coach. So I was training at Four Corners for a little bit
Oh, okay.
last year. I was living in the fighter dorms with a few of the guys, and he was my coach. And yeah, I was for well, it didn't go. The result didn't go well for him, but I was at the BT studios for his last fight, and it's a cool atmosphere, man. Like it's kind of like a UFC Apex, but in England.
Yeah, that's what everybody was saying. That's what Matty said because he fought in there and he likes it. I was like, well, it's all right. It's and it makes it better. It makes it great because it's my first ever Cage Warriors and it's small. So it's kind of like taking it small by small. That's what I would like. And I was like, well, it doesn't matter where I fight, who I fight. It's just the same cage, same thing. So I'm not the one that chooses locations or people. For me, it's just they send me offer. And one thing I'll say is yes, for any date I'm fine. You know, I'll take a month off after. Well, not month off, as in I'll keep training after the fight. Obviously, the first thing I'm gonna do after the fight, if I don't get injured, the next day I have to go and see my friends fight on FCC, and then the next day I have to go somewhere down south to coach one of the girls, the small kids that I train. So my job is not done, but I'll still train the next day. If I can go to the strength and conditioning gym and I'm not injured because I'll be eating and enjoying myself, but I'll still train. So that's the first thing I do. I'll eat something, but I'll have to train a little bit, so I'll keep myself moving. But I'll have a month or 2 months off, and I'll fight again. That's for sure. I'll still keep training, so I'm always in kind of, well, not fight shape, but I'm still fit and everything. So if they call me and say, "Listen, would you like to fight for the title fight?" I'll be like, "Yeah, sure, why not? Just give me a sec. Just give me a second. That's all."
You gotta be ready at any time. You gotta be ready
Yeah.
for that call. What by the end of this year, what are your goals that you'd like to have accomplished?
Well, at least fight 3 times this year. Win all of them. Uh, and I want to fight two people in my mind. They're very good. They're high level fighters, and
What are the
um,
names?
uh, well, okay. All right. I mean, I mentioned one of them. After this fight, hopefully, I would like to get Tobias. Because he'll fight 1 week or 2 week, well, 1 week before me. So hopefully he can win because I know he's good. But I always like to see him fight because I'm not calling somebody out because of disrespect or anything, or I think they're not that great. I think he's good. I like every time he fights, I get in and watch him fight.
He's got an
Um,
exciting
I
style.
yeah, nothing personal in my opinion. It's just he has a higher rank, and I always like to fight somebody I'm looking up to, people that I look up to that they're great. And then obviously after I beat him, I wanna I would like to get the championship, obviously Paul Hughes, but I would like to prove myself right before I beat him. I'd like to beat the former champion, which I think it's absolutely great. Like my opinion, John Vucenic for me, I used to look up to him and say, I'm still look up to him and see he's a great fighter. Every time he posts something, I like it because he's a good champion, a great fighter. Uh, I thought he was gonna win the fight, but obviously it didn't go his way. Watched it live because I know I'm gonna fight one of them one day. But
What a great fight that was, by the way, the Paul Hughes Vicenic
oh
fight.
my god,
Silly fight.
oh my god, the first fight
Crazy.
was close. The second fight wasn't even close.
It was
I
a
was surprised.
shutout.
I was surprised. I was surprised. The only the only thing that in the first round was a little bit even still, but then once he got rocked and oh no, once he in the second round he got his back take, I was like, okay, he just gave the second round out. He didn't get hurt too much, but he gave it out. The third round when he got rocked, I was like, wow, I don't think he's gonna come back because he just lost 2 rounds. The second round he got hurt, so the third round we don't know if he's gonna get rocked again. If he's recovered, and he didn't, he just kept going and cut it up. So I was like, wow, um, props to Paul. Paul did a good job, and for me, he before the fight because the way he fought Morgan Charrier, he was saying that Morgan Charrier is boring, and obviously I didn't agree with him. I was like, well, no, you can't tell him he's boring. You can say that he gasses out during the fight. Obviously, that's obvious. Everybody could see that, but you can't say he's boring because Morgan Charrier, by all means, he's not boring. He's a good fighter. He finishes people. He throws with bad intentions, so you can't say that it's boring. And I expected him. If I fight him, he'll the first thing he'll say if he says Morgan Charrier is boring, tell me I'm boring. So, but then I changed my mind because when he beat Jordan Vucenic, he was very concerned about Jordan Vucenic. That's where Paul earned my respect because I said, "Whoa, well, he's a cool dude as well." So I was like, "Well, you know what? I really did change my mind about Paul Hughes. I thought he was a bit of a the kind of the Conor McGregor ish
Yeah.
type, which obviously I'm not a fan of. Never was, never will be a fan of Conor McGregor. So people can tell me I'm based or anything, but I'll never be a fan of that kind of fighter. Is like
As
not
I'm
because of the
sat
way he
behind the
fights.
Conor McGregor poster.
Yeah, sorry, mate, but yeah, I know that against is it
No,
against
that's
Eddie
alright.
Alvarez or Chad
No,
Mendes?
so that was the 189 poster with Aldo before it got
Oh,
rescheduled, but it's got the Lawler McDonald fight on it, so it's just the
okay. I thought it was Eddie Alvarez in the background, down one. Oh yeah,
no. No, I can
yeah,
understand why people don't like Conor McGregor for sure. I mean, for me, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have gotten into MMA. Like he captivated me, but I can completely understand why people don't like him. He's a type of character where I feel like you either love him or you absolutely fucking hate him.
yeah. The only thing well with Paul obviously it changed my mind. I said, you know what, this guy's you know he I think he plays mind games with people, but then when he really believes that the other guys are great fighters, I don't think he will play mind games. He'll just say how it is. So for me, it earned my respect a lot of respect. Might not it might not mean anything to him that he earned my respect, but it it's still even though I respect him, I still don't think he'll beat me. So I always say this, you can have my respect, but reality it doesn't mean that I'm afraid or anything. He shouldn't be afraid of me, and I shouldn't be afraid of anybody. Nobody should be afraid of anybody, to be honest. Until you get in there, you feel what's feel like the pressure that I put on, and then you'll say, you know what, maybe I was maybe I was wrong. Maybe this pressure is gonna get to me. Maybe this is gonna be it. But yeah, I don't think. First of all, Tobias will keep coming forward. It doesn't matter what I'll do to him. He'll still come forward at me. He'll still try to fight me and finish me. He'll still try everything. So that's why I like it. It's gonna be a huge challenge. Jordan Vucenic is the same thing. He's not gonna quit. He proved in his fight against Paul Hughes that he has heart and he'll still try to keep going. So for me, um, That was the best thing because I said this guy has heart too. So even if I pressure him so much, he'll still try to escape and finish me off. Same as Paul Hughes. Paul Hughes will do the same damn thing. His pace is high, is great. So if I put the pressure on him, he'll gonna try to do the pressure on me. And if I slow him down, he's still gonna come forward on me. So yeah, that's why I picked those three because I know they won't quit. They have a gas tank that they'll come forward on me, and it will be more of a better fight for everybody because at least it won't be one sided. It will be two people going at it, and maybe I'll win all rounds. That's what I'm planning for, but it will be competitive. It won't be a 10-8 rounds where my last few fights were. Because, yeah, I'll tell you one thing. In my last fight, but that's a Thomas fight, yeah, sure, I enjoyed having 10-8 rounds. 10-8 rounds is a nice thing because you prove that they're not on your level. But at the end of the day, it's still a little bit like, uh, not becomes boring. I wouldn't say it becomes boring, but it becomes like, why why is he here at the end of the day? That's why I always ask myself mid fight at one point. They're like, if they're just not doing anything, like covering themselves, holding me at the end of the day, I know I'm on top, but I'll be like, what, why are you here? You have your fans right there. Can you just try to escape? Can you at least try to do something? Not hit me from the bottom. That's not gonna help you. It's better to do
Yeah,
something
just
better.
comfortable with sitting in the safe positions.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. I'll never accept that. I'll never like it. If I'm fighting somebody, in my opinion. So this is the thing that I always say to people, which people absolutely disagree with me, but I'll say them straight away. The worst thing is this: wasting 3 rounds of your life getting dominated purely. I'd rather get finished in the first round and say, fuck, like get caught in the first round for me. It's more better than getting absolutely dominated for 3 whole rounds. It's a humiliating way. That's absolutely humiliating. I'll never accept that I got dominated for 3 rounds. It's absolutely absurd. If you think that fighters go outside, go out in this is the best thing. So fighters go out. Oh yeah, I didn't get finished, but they won't say I got dominated for 3 rounds. Yeah, I lost the fight, but at least I didn't get finished. So you'd rather get dominated. So you know in your heart and you're in your mind that if you fight him again, you're gonna absolutely be dominated again. There's a huge possibility you'll get dominated again. You're not on his level, but you're happy you didn't get finished. Really?
Whereas you can there's almost an acceptance of sometimes in a fight if you get stopped, sometimes the guy just deserves the credit. You got caught with a lucky shot or he did what he had to do better than you on that night.
Yeah, yeah. Or for me, this is where I kind of agree with people that, for example, they're dominating 3 rounds, right? So you're dominating 2 rounds, and almost like the last minute of the third round, you get caught with a shot or with submission or anything. Yeah, sure, I'll be frustrated. And if there's a rematch, honestly, I'd say the guy who finished him in the last minute, he'd be more scared than him because he actually lost everything. So he has so much mistakes to improve on. And the other guy, that's not a mistake that he did. He just switched off. It's not like a technical mistake that he did. The other guy that was winning the whole round, he just switched off. And that's not the hardest thing to adjust. For me, the hardest thing to adjust is you lost every single minute of that round except the last bit. Perfect example: Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards. For me, the guy that has to be scared so much is not Kamaru Usman that got finished. Leon Edwards has to be scared of that. Has to be conscious of it. You lost and you almost was gonna get finished for the second, third, and fourth, and even the fifth round. You were absolutely getting losing every second. So
Do
for
you not
you to
do you not
land,
think
yeah.
do you not think the altitude would have played a factor? There was a lot of fighters that thought that the altitude of being in Salt Lake was a massive factor in their fights.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because Salt Lake City is like, I don't know the exact height of it, but it's high up in the mountains. So there was a lot of fighters on that card that didn't realize that they had to acclimatize probably as much. Uh, and again, people can say, well, that was an excuse, but there was a few fighters that mentioned that they felt the altitude even more. Like they just felt like after that first round they were just gassed out. That's what Leon said, at least. Leon said that after that first round he just felt completely out of it and he just had no breath. Now, again, it could
Mm.
be a form of bullshit and excuse. I'm sure there's definitely an element, but I don't know. I was in Salt Lake myself for that fight, and there was a lot of fighters that were saying the altitude would have played a part. I don't
Mm.
know. I'm always going to back Leonidas. I think Kamara might have to be the one to be scared in this fight. He's the one that got knocked out conscious.
Yeah, but I don't know about that. Honestly, this is something as well that the that MMA fighters is a bit like, I don't know if they're stubborn, but so if you're in the US and you're fighting in England, for example, why would you come in the UK 4 days before the fight? I absolutely have no idea. Jet lag is a real thing. It battles me. Or European fighters going to the US.
Or like you see right now with the UFC going to Australia the week of the fight, it's like,
Oh man, the who was it? Yair Rodriguez in the embedded came like on last embedded. For me, that's where I turned my head and I said, Josh is gonna win that fight. First of all, it is crazy hot in Australia. Second of all, it's a long way from the US to Australia traveling. It's there is gonna be jet lag. He just arrived. And I was
so
like,
you've basically you've gone across the entire world basically.
exactly. So I'm like, do fighters actually do their research? Do they know what they're doing? Or at least, if not the fighters, do the coaches do their research before they ever go there?
And you know what else is the most interesting thing about the fight this weekend is, I mean, this will go out after the fight's on, but they're fighting at like they're fighting on Sunday morning in Australia because the
Yeah,
time of the time of the card is basically still like Vegas time, so it's still like the main card's like 10 p.m. Vegas time, but that's like it's around 10 a.m., 11 a.m. on Sunday morning
at UK for
in
us, is
Australia.
it gonna be at 7 a.m. in the morning?
The main card starts at 3 a.m.
Ah, fuck's sake, not again.
I
Oh
know,
well,
I
I'll
know.
still be waking up for it. So
Yeah, do you know what it is, bro? I actually can't understand people that watch fights the next day on the highlights. Like for me, the fights, especially the big fights, I need to watch them live. It's just a different feeling when you watch them live. Like when you watch them live and you're actually watching it, you're so captivated. Whereas the next day you're watching the highlights, like, oh,
next day you're a
I just
bit
can't.
like, oh well,
Yeah,
man,
it's not the
live.
same.
I remember when I watched. Wait a minute, no, it was so I fought my second fight back in my country, and I finished at around. No, I was. No, wait. Was it my second fight? Yeah, it was my second fight. It was the main event. I think I finished at around 12 ish. What was? Wait. No, well, no. Wait. Hold on a second. First professional fight that I had. So I was second on the card. I stood there, but I knew at that day there was gonna be the biggest one. I forgot which number it was, but there was Rose Namajunas versus the Polish
Oh,
girl.
what was it? 217 GSP against Bisping,
GSP
Namajunas
versus
against,
Michael Bisping and
yeah,
TJ Dillashaw versus
Cody
Cody.
Garbrandt. Yeah.
So for me, those three were the main things. I watched. So I like the main event. Obviously, I like the co-main event because TJ Dillashaw is one of my absolute greatest fighters that I like to watch. His footwork is amazing. Well, was at least. Um, and obviously there is Rose Namajunas that I wanted her to win because I couldn't stand the Polish girl. So what I did was I won the fight, stood there with my friends, and it was going to be late at in the morning, obviously the next day. But I stayed there till about 12 midnight, or no, I actually stood there till 2:30 because it finished late. Drove as fast as I can home, which obviously wasn't far. It was about 20 minutes. It was
Yeah,
from
nowhere's far in
Pau.
Malta.
Yeah, it was from Paola to Marsa Scala to Italy. So yeah, it's not that far. Plus, at that night there's no traffic, so I drive quickly as I can. Got there, switched the TV on, started watching them, and they were starting two fights before Rose Namajunas was. So I think at the beginning of the main card. But I absolutely was thrilled to watch them live. The atmosphere when I was there watching them live, it was nuts. But the one that I felt as if I was fighting, apart from my friends Cage Warriors, obviously, which I watched them live, was the last fight of Khabib versus Justin Gaethje. For me, I watched it live here, and yeah, it was like me fighting there. I was so cheering for Khabib to win. Obviously, I didn't know that he was gonna retire, but because I trained with, I was there when he was doing the training camp for Tony Ferguson, and it fell out, and it was Aya Quinta. I took a picture with him with there, and we trained in the same room, same time, same everything. Rebel with Islam that time as well. But yeah, he was still my idol at that time, and obviously now he's retired, so I'm looking up to Islam and the others. But it was like I was fighting over there. I was like, "Wow, man, please win!" I really want him to win. But yeah, I can understand when
The
it's
legacy
live.
that they built.
Second.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but the legacy that Khabib Nurmagomedov and the legacy that the Nurmagomedovs are building is phenomenal. Those Dagestanis, everyone's afraid of him. Everyone's afraid of him,
Oh
and
yeah, I
it's
mean
incredible.
their
I
style
think there
it's
was a
insane.
go on. Sorry, my bad.
No, no, sorry about that. The style of the Dagestan. So Dagestani, there are two. There are two types of styles that Dagestani brings, and there is one in UFC, but I forgot his name.
Is
Uh,
it Umar, the 135er?
no, 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 not from him. He's not with them. He's just another Dagestani. He's good though. So there's the grappling side. You're either a great grappler or you're a great striker, preferably in the Muay Thai. There's one guy in the UFC. I forgot his name. Man.
Do you know what weight division it was?
I think
Is
he's in the welterweight division. I think either welter or light. He's a great Muay Thai though.
you're not thinking of Hamza, are you?
No, 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 no,
No,
not him, not him. No, Kamza is a wrestler. So this guy
yeah.
is a literal Muay Thai. Uh,
Trying to think.
Fiziev is not Dagestan, right? Or no?
No, he's not Dagestani, but he's not far away. It's not far, like the region isn't too far away from where he is.
Yeah.
That's another great fight. Him against Justin Gaethje.
Oh
I
yeah,
believe.
that fight is gonna be good at least. I reckon though, Fiziev will win because Justin will want to stand with him. He won't. He doesn't like to grab. If Justin will grapple, I think yeah he has a chance. But Fiziev is
Fizie's
such.
so good, man.
Oh man, such technical, such power, such everything. So good. I like to watch him fight. His Muay Thai is absolutely greatly and pure. So man,
His striking's crazy, man. Like you said, just it's almost like elegant to watch.
oh yeah, in my opinion, he brings and he fought in Lumpini Stadium. He almost won twice, but he got robbed. And I watched that fight. He got robbed twice. Um, he brings pure Muay Thai, but with kick. But in my opinion, pure Muay Thai. When they say Muay Thai, usually they think about the clinching and everything. He doesn't bring clinch and everything. He just brings kicks, the proper K1. Have the K1 Muay Thai hybrid. It, it's so good though, and for MMA as well. It's so nice. But then you see obviously the Khabib, Islam Makhachev, those kind of styles where they're phenomenal wrestlers and phenomenal grapplers, phenomenal sambos to be honest. Their ground game is not jiu-jitsu either, which
It's just smothering pressure. That's all it is. Just
yeah,
absolute,
and it's
just
technically as well.
fucking. Oh yeah.
one thing I always like to say, because I noticed it and AKA guys told me too, and I kind of like confirmed it. So if you watch Khabib very directly, he's good. His style is Islam style is very similar to Khabib, but they're not the same. They're very different. If you watch Khabib, Khabib forces things. Like he forces the position. He makes you quit. Islam Makhachev doesn't really make you quit. He transitions smoother. So they use the same things, but Islam just smoothly goes in, which is amazing. But I like Khabib. Khabib is more torturing in a way, if you want to keep it
Yeah.
that way.
Well, I mean, if you look at the way Islam dropped Oliveira and the way he
Oh,
just jumped on him straight away,
oh man,
no
he just
messing.
went
And
there and there.
and
Yeah,
to do that to Oliveira, who I mean, I made a pretty infamous video where I completely overlooked Islam in that fight beforehand, and the way like the one of the main things that I was saying is that fight, and again, most people were saying was the one thing that Islam has got to be careful of is Oliveira off his back. That was like one of the main things. Oliveira's dangerous off his back, and he made it look so easy.
yeah. Every time they went on the ground, it was like, there was the threat. Obviously, I could see the threats, but it wasn't phasing him. And loads of people in the UK here, they were telling me, what if they go to the ground? And I said, don't you think Islam is going to wrestle him? He is going to the ground. He's going to challenge him in the ground. They believe that Sambo is superior than Jiu-Jitsu, so they're going to challenge it. I'm like, believe me. If one thing I'll say, I'll tell the people is, if you guys think Jiu-Jitsu is effective as it was back 10 years ago, it's not really. I mean, it is good. Don't get me wrong. Jiu-Jitsu is good. Having a high level Jiu-Jitsu is great, but having a high level wrestling with a ground game is more effective. Let me put it this way: pressure, pressure is more effective and more easy to do if you know how to do it, rather than playing on your back. There's no way people get submitted anymore in triangles or armbars from guard, not anymore, or kimuras, not anymore. The submissions that are coming from is from the back. Either you have his back and rear naked choke him, guillotines before you hit the deck. What else? But they're all from top. Most of the submissions are from top, not from bottom.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have jiu look at Damian Maya versus Tyron Woodley. I know it's different, but best jiu-jitsu guy ever versus a high-level wrestler. All the jiu-jitsu uh, knowledge and best and everything. If you can't take him to the ground, jiu-jitsu ain't gonna make the biggest thing. In my opinion, wrestling is the one of the most dominant thing you can ever be because it's gonna dictate if you want to keep it up, go down, pressure, ground and pound as well.
Wrestling is
So
by far the most important aspect of MMA. I definitely agree there. Like you said, it's the mold for everything. If you want to stay up, you got to make sure your takedown defense is good. If you want to break it to the ground, you got to make sure that you can take it there successfully.
exactly, yeah.
So, well, Matthew, it's been a pleasure to chat to you, my friend. You know, I'm glad that we've spoken. I'm glad that we've got this done. You're always going to have my back, whatever you need. I really think that Maltese people, especially, should support each other and stick with each other. And I can't wait for the day that you bring home the Cage Warriors belt back to Malta and you sign to
Oh
the
yeah.
UFC and everyone will actually realize how talented you are and give you the respect you deserve. I'm not saying that you don't get the respect, but I'm talking about like the sport authorities and all that sort of stuff because
Yeah.
I really do think that they're missing out by not giving you the support that you need because you're a special talent, man. You're still what 28, 29. You're still super young, so the best is still yet to come, and
Yeah.
I'm excited to see your journey.
I'm still 27 by the way. I just turned
20
27.
sweat. Oh, sorry, my bad,
That's
my
alright,
bad. I
no
did not
worries, no
mean
worries, man. It's alright, it's all good. You know,
27.
you know what? I'll try. Maybe the Maltese will appreciate me even more. One thing I might try to say, I might did a joke once as a joke, but it will never happen. I think because we don't have it. We don't have the capacity for it. I said, what if? So what if I win the Cage Warriors belt, and as a request, I'll say, how about this? Can I defend my Cage Warriors belt? in Malta itself. Can you do it? That, can you imagine that though? That's funny. I always said, what if I would bring MMA like the biggest organization like Cage Warriors or maybe the UFC? I'll say, listen, you know what? If I become a champion, would it be possible for you guys to come in? I mean, UFC will never come to Malta because there's not capacity. Not even to Ali, which is the biggest ground, will never get up to it. But Cage Warriors has said, you know what? What if we just bring Malta over there? I mean, the UK, they only spend 100 quid to come to our country, so that's not that much. Italians will come over, which is cheap. So I'll be like, you know what? Let's go to Malta. Let's go one, just one. I'll make history for it. Maltese champion. Why don't we just get to Malta? We'll get another huge fans. Maybe Malta will come to the UK for it either as well.
Yeah, mate, honestly, you say that the UFC will never come to Malta, but I truly say never. You really never know. And that was a question I was gonna ask you, like, how I know that, um, Cage Warriors, is the biggest MMA promotion in Europe. I truly think that could happen one day. I don't see why not. MFCC, a few big names, Matthew Camilleri defending his Cage Warriors belt in Malta in summer. I don't
I mean, Cage Warriors is not that bad. I mean, Cage Warriors won't be like the impossible thing that they'll come in. Like, yeah, if I can become a champion, I'll say, you know what? Listen, why don't we do it? The MFCC, yeah, is big enough,
Yeah, oh,
so
definitely.
it'll be good. Um, I mean, but yeah, honestly, I think the UFC is impossible though. It will never be because too small,
See
and not only that, their main audience are from the US and
you
Australia, and like it's gonna be huge to pay the amount of there to get the fans over there, so there won't be much fans.
See, do you know what? See, the only reason I would disagree is because in my mind, and this might be crazy thinking, but from a marketing point of view as well, you could have obviously they've got the fight island in Abu Dhabi or in Dubai, wherever it is. You
Hmm.
could you could have a European fight island where they could build a PI in Malta. The one thing that the UFC always say and Dana White always says when they go to places for events, the one thing they want to have is they want to have good culture. They want to have access for fans. Like, mate, if you did a UFC fight night in Malta, that it doesn't necessarily have to be
Ooh,
yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be a pay per view. If you did a fight night in summer in Malta during International Fight Week, where you just stack the fight full of European fighters on a sunny island where it's not that expensive either. I mean, Malta is a bit up. It's not that expensive. I don't see why that's not
it's
why
not bad.
it's not bad. And also, with being Malta, like Malta's so easily accessible. There's always flights, so you could have like the European hub for the UFC in Malta. Do you know what I thought? Like this is a crazy thing, and this is probably a bit too far fetched. But imagine if the UFC came in, they bought the rights to Ta'ali, and they just basically built a brand new football stadium that could be turned into an arena. And they built a complex for the football training grounds, and then they had a UFC Performance Institute attached to it. That would be insane.
Damn, that would be good. That'd be. You know what? Maybe that would be good. I mean, UFC Fight Night, I wouldn't say no because Fight Night would be all right with it. Yeah, a big event like the numbers, I would say a bit too far fetched. But PI, honestly, I'd like them to do a PI, honestly, because loads of one more thing as well that I think they need to consider as well that Malta is a tourist destination, so you know it's a good thing. So people that come visit,
Loads of people
they
come
can get
visit.
in there as well.
I just think I mean,
So yeah, well,
you never know. Never say never.
okay, well, if Dana White is watching, will eventually one day watch this. See, this is a marketing value too.
Well, see, thing is, right, funny enough, you mentioned Dana White. When I went to UFC London, the first one in March last year, I met Dana White and I handed him a document. That a few of my friends know that I've always wanted to work in and around the UFC. And my plan is this is the first time I've even told anyone this, and you're the first person to find out. But the plan is I'm going to basically make a document with a plan like this. And it could get nowhere and he may laugh at it. But honestly, you just never know. Just a nice little A4 document. Meet Dana White, but Dana, just take this, have a look at it.
You know what? Hey, better to try then, right? If you never try, you'll never know, which is a good
Exactly.
thing. And plus, if the UFC ever come to us and the first thing they'll pop up, they say, "Oh, okay, do you have any great MMA fighters and Maltese MMA fighters?" The first thing that'll pop up is my name. I'd be like, "Oh well, hello, here I am." You know, good. You know, I'm here working with the next generation, yeah, in the UK, but I'm still Maltese and everybody knows who I am. So
How how mu
call me when you want. It's
how
fine.
much consideration do you take? And I know that obviously you're at the part of your career where you're solely focused on you and your career, but have you got any ambition once you've hung up your gloves to come back to Malta and to grow MMA back in Malta? Is that something that you've thought about at all, or
Hmm. Well, yeah, it was been a conversation with, especially with uh, me and my grandfather, my dad's dad. We had that conversation before, even with my parents. But he always like said, you know what, come to Malta, we'll build the gym, blah blah blah. And I was like, well, not yet. It won't be yet. But at the end, I think with my name, and then people know me, so it would be easy for me to train people because everybody would like to train with me. Even when I go to my country for a holiday, everybody asks me, "Oh, can I be train with you? Do you do privates and all that?" So yeah, definitely. The only thing that I will do though, and I'm gonna say straight here right away, um, the girl that I teach, she's called Charlie. She lives not her family and family doesn't live far from me. Lives like maybe 5 minutes away from me by car. I train her a lot, and every time I leave here, she's always sad because she wants to come with me, and she always comes to watch my fights. Yeah, she always comes to watch my fights, and I always go to watch her compete. This is the only time that me and her won't be together because at the BT Sport, it's in London, so it's far. So she's not coming. And then for the next 2 days, she's gonna compete. So for the first day, unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to be there because she'll compete at 9 in the morning, and I'll be finished around 11 p.m. So from London, it's not gonna
yeah,
be able to make sense. But then the next day I'll be there. So this is the first time we're gonna miss each other. But then I promise her that the her first day I won't be there, but the
day
second day I'll
two.
be there for sure for her. So yeah, but the only thing I will say is when I'll retire, I'll um I'll tell her parents like, listen, you know what? I'll take her with, she'll be old obviously. From well she'll be an L from there. So she's still training with me because I'm gonna still keep training with her. Still gonna keep training her because she wants to be a pro fighter like me. I'll tell her, you know what? If you're trying want to fight professional, I'll be your coach. I have no problem in staying here, but obviously, uh, I'll still do Malta stuff. Like I'll come in, maybe build a gym in Malta, and have my coaches and all that. But retiring for like in Malta and never come back here, it's a bit far fetched. I mean, I like to go to Malta on a holiday. Don't
Yeah,
get me wrong, I
bro,
like
I
it,
know exactly how you feel. I couldn't see myself living in
but I like
Malta
it
again.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it here. I like up here in the north. I like it here so much. The only thing I don't like here is the weather, but other
Oh,
than that, man, I like it.
I know. We do you know what it is? I don't know whether you can agree. The one thing that I was told by everyone back home was when I was moving, it's like, "Oh, are you gonna be alright with the weather?" And, like, you think at first, like, mainly like, "Oh, do you know what? Like, I've had every single hot summer. It'll be nice to get some cold weather." But then, like and it's okay for the beginning, and then, like, the more it goes on and do you know what it is? It's because there's no, like, hot summer. I think if there was, like, a hot summer, you could probably understand, okay, you have a bit of a shit winter, but, like, because there's no, like, guaranteed hot weather, it's like, "Oh, fuck, you know what? I'm definitely a Mediterranean island
Exactly.
guy. I need my summer."
Yeah, exactly. Although usually well, if I'm not fight, if I always fought in August, like mid-August. So the next 2 weeks, I always go home. So I'll enjoy like okay.
But
Oh, it's still August, so I'll enjoy the end of the summer.
it's the perfect time.
But last time I fought in June, I think. I mean, this no, 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 no. Last year I fought in the beginning of August, so I went there and I enjoyed the summer. Actually, it was 40 degrees when I went home again, so it was nice for 2 weeks. It was absolutely roasting. It was mad nuts. They were like, "Are you gonna be okay?" I was like, "Absolutely, guys. You should come and come join me." British fighters were like, "You know what? How much was it? 40 degrees. No thanks. That's too much, man. That's too hot."
Yeah, people can't even stay in the sauna for that long because they're not used to the heat. That's like an advantage I think we have. We can sit in the sauna for a bit longer.
Oh yeah, well, I remember one day was so hot. It was like it wasn't so hot like for me. It was all right. It was getting hot, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I like it. I like it." And in the gym upstairs, so when it's cold in our gym, when you go upstairs,
It's fucking cold in your
there's
gym,
like a
by the way.
oh man, when you go upstairs in the cage area, when it's cold, it's crazy cold. When it's hot, it's more hotter. So when the coach said, I remember correctly, I think the coach will say it. If I mention him, he will say, "Oh yeah, you're right." He asked us who would like to spar upstairs. It's super hot, and everybody went upside. He's like, "We're not sparring here." And I was like, grabbed my hands up, and I was like, "I will." I don't mind. It's not that hot to be honest. And everybody looked at me and said, "We knew you were gonna say yes. So you're alone. You're not gonna spar alone here. Just let's spar downstairs." I was like, "Okay, no problem."
People don't understand, bro, over here. Like I remember when I was playing football, doing preseason in fucking July, and because you can't train late at night because the pro team or the actual senior team are training at night, the only time slots you have to train are fucking at 5 p.m., 6 p.m. when it's still like 36 degrees outside, and you got to do preseason running, and yeah, it's not easy, man.
Oh man, ugh. But now it's cold, man.
Yeah.
It's was it January? Yeah, in January it was few weeks ago. It was icing, man, in the morning. So I'll go out and I see ice. I was like, man, really? Not again. Saw the snow going down. I was like, oh man, not again. Everything's slippery, super cold. I wake up at 6 in the morning to go do strength and conditioning before MMA, and I was like, "Wow, crap! Really? Do I really need to do this?"
It's the trenches, bro. It's the trenches. Where can
Yeah.
people find you, Matthew?
Where I am? Oh, well, in the world right now, Birkenhead in the Woodlands.
In the Woodlands. Yeah, I meant like
So
what
yeah, there's the mark.
I'm more
Say
I'm
again?
I'm more meant I'm more meant like what's your social media? Like where can people find you if they wanted to get in touch or find you?
Oh shit! Sorry, I thought you meant where I am. Shit, I was like, oh, do you want my address? Oh, um, the address will be only available for the girls. That's all. For the women, that's it. No, that's So you can find me on Facebook, Matthew Camilleri. Um, on Instagram is Camilleri Matt 3095. So
There we
there
go.
you go.
I'll make sure that it's all in the bio as well. Make sure you give Matthew a follow. And if you're Maltese, you have got to get behind him because he is destined for great things. Matthew, thank you for your time, brother. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Have a good night.